Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel West. I'm the Director of Education at IntelyCare, and I am so very excited to be sharing with you today the partnership that we at IntelyCare have made with Excelsior College. I'm so excited. I can't contain my excitement. So how this works, a webinar is a place for us to give information to you, but also for you to ask us questions. The best place to ask a question, and really, because there are so many of you, yes, you're all muted. Nobody can hear you, which is maybe good and not good. The only way to get a question to us is to type it in the Q&A. So we will answer the questions as they come in, probably through the course of our presentation. And if there are any that are outstanding that we don't get to, or we miss somewhere along the way, there will be a follow-up message coming to you in a couple of days after this with the recording of our webinar so that you can listen to us again. There'll be lots of links and materials for you to go to at the end. So rest assured, I know lots of you have many of the same questions. We are not new to this world. We are new in this partnership, but not new to this world. So just 2 seconds about me, and then I really want for Kaylee to introduce herself too, so that you can know, who we are and why we're here. So as I said, I'm the Director of Education at IntelyCare. Before this, I've been a nurse for 20 something years now. And I'm a PhD candidate. So I've gone all the way, but started in the community college and kind of went through the program. I'm a first generation college student. So I'm super passionate about education, but I wanted you to, to know a little bit about me before we got all the way started. Okay. And I just see, Kylie, do you want to give a quick intro of yourself?
Sure. I am Kaylee Sandora, Director of Business Development here at Excelsior College. I've actually been with the college for going on 11 years now. Most of that time has been in the partnerships role. So I've been working with partnerships, corporate association, even academic partnerships for majority of this time. And so as you can see, 11 years, I have really loved just being at Excelsior and being in higher education, and love just being able to provide education opportunities to organizations like IntelyCare. And so I am actually in the Maryland area. So I see a lot of you are in this area as well. So welcome. I am also very excited about this partnership.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kylie. So let's dive into it a little bit. We have some information about on our side, sort of our, requirements, if there were, what they are. And then Kylie's going to talk about the Excelsior side, what the program's all about, what you can expect, how to apply, and answer some of the real fine-grained details as they come in. But a little bit here, whoops, he went too fast. So it's our belief at IntelyCare, and this is something I brought to IntelyCare when I started last year in this role. Before I even go all the way into this, I want to just say thank you so much as an individual, as a nurse, as a person who no longer works at the bedside. Thank you for what you do. That isn't empty. That is really very heartfelt. I have a loved one in facility right now, and I see you, even though I can't actually see you, and I thank you for the work that you do. We're in incredibly difficult times, and I wanted you to know that I see you. So IntelyCare and Education, why did we do this? Well, one of the things that IntelyCare believes very strongly and very sincerely is that education is the foundation to allowing you to have the personal and professional growth that you want. I come from, as I sort of alluded to before, I come from the academic background, right? So I've worked at big universities, I've worked at small community colleges, and for all the good that those organizations do, they tend to be very institution focused. I don't know what your experience was like going through your schooling, But in the nursing ed side of things, institutions tend to be very institution focused. I have this class on this time in this day, and you're going to show up when we tell you, and we basically own you. And that never really sat well with me. And so when we say that we want education to be a career ladder, a game changer for you, I recognized that it couldn't just be anybody that we picked to partner with. You know, as IntelyPros, that flexibility is essential to your well-being, right? You know that you have a whole life that you have to juggle. I mean, I saw somebody said they're at the doctor's office with their sick kiddos right now. Welcome to the world of juggling, right? I don't need to tell you what that's like. But so it was important for us to find a partner that understood that in a meaningful way. And so we found Excelsior, and not only did we find Excelsior, we were so thrilled. I mean, I personally was just thrilled at the way they approach education. You all, Kylie and your team, you approach nursing education the way I would hope to have it be done. It is learner-centered, meaning courses, you certainly have to take the courses, you have to show up at places sometimes, but it's with the learner in mind, right? So it's, you know, there's some flexibility in when you engage and how you engage with your education. And the other part is, I mean, gosh, let's just for a second talk about dollars and cents, right? It can't be that education is outrageously expensive. As I mentioned, I'm a first generation college student, meaning I was the first in my family to go to college. And when we looked at the sticker prices of places, it was like, oh, nope, that's not going to happen. Oh, nope, that one's not even an option, not even going to look there. And so it was really important for us to make sure that we found partners that were not astronomically expensive. And not only did we find a place that's flexible, learner-centered, we found Excelsior as an affordable partner. We have brokered a unique, just for IntelyPros, discounted tuition. Your tuition is discounted 30% for this program, which is an amazing and outstanding value, not to mention all the other pieces of why we think Excelsior is great. So what are our requirements? And I see there are a couple of questions here already. Don't worry, we'll get to those as well. I promise we won't leave you in the dark there. So what are the requirements for IPs? You know, some of these requirements are things that are required by the school for their licensure and for their certifications, and some of them are for IntelyCare. So as you see on this slide, it's required, obviously, that you hold an active unencumbered license, an LPN or an LVN to practice. You have to have worked 200 hours in the last 6 months. And we're going to talk about why 200 hours in just a minute. But you have to have worked 200 hours in those last 6 months, which when we break it down, you'll see that on the next slide or two, why that matters. You need to live in one of the 18 states where Excelsior has program offerings right now. I know that, and I'm not going to speak for you, Kylie, I promise, but I know that the vision is to expand. But right now there are 18 states. They're listed on their website. We'll make sure that you have access to that in a minute, or certainly you can go check out their website. But there are 18 states that they operate in, so you need to live in one of those. And then, of course, you need to meet all the admission requirements, which we'll show you and we'll share with you and we'll walk through with you. So why 200 hours? What's this all about? So in order to be considered eligible for this unique exclusive partnership with IntelyCare and Excelsior, 200 hours means a couple of things. First, it's a program requirement. You need to have worked 200 hours because there's a special form, an attestation, part of the LPN education piece that has to be done for any LPN going back to school. They have to have this 200 hours. We feel like 200 hours in the last 6 months at IntelyCare is important because we see that as a way that you have integrated IntelyCare into your life. And what does 200 hours really break out to? Okay, 200 hours is 25 8-hour shifts, or about 1 shift per week, okay? Or if they're 12-hour shifts, it's 16 of them. So one shift every other week. So that's important first because it's a program requirement for the 200 hours that needs to have been completed. And then we know that the rate of work, roughly estimate in round numbers, will about cover the cost of the tuition for the entirety of the program. So working those 2 extra shifts a month, not obviously just that, will about cover the cost of the program. Okay, so again, really great flexibility, really great value. We are asking that those 200 hours be completed through IntelyCare. And if you're curious how many hours you've completed, I expected this one might come up. You can find that on your pay stub or in ADP. So yes, those 200 hours, we're asking for them to have been completed at IntelyCare. Okay, classes start, you're going to talk about this, Kylie, I bet, but classes start every so many weeks. So if it doesn't happen for this time, there are more classes and more cohorts. It's not one cohort of IntelyCare, IntelliPros, right? You can join this program basically at any time. So I'm going to stop talking. I thank you for your attention, and I'm so excited for this. All right, go ahead, Kylie.
Oh, sorry about that. Like we said, maybe one more year of a pandemic and I'll get the muting piece correct.
Good. You got it. You got it.
I know. Okay. So hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. I also share in the excitement of this newest partnership between IntelyCare and Excelsior. I am especially excited to share more information about our programs. The biggest program actually at Excelsior College, which is our associate degree in nursing. So just a little bit about Excelsior before we go into kind of the meat of the program. So Excelsior is celebrating over 50 years of serving adult learners and helping them earn their degree. And so sometimes this is actually more than one degree. And so Excelsior has always been offering, we've always been at a distance. And so we started off first as a credit aggregator before offering actually online courses, because you're probably wondering, 1971, how are you doing online courses? So we did start off as a credit aggregator. Credit aggregation is still at the heart of what we do, because we all know as adult learners, having a lot of prior life experience, I mean, really the importance of having that prior life experience and then using that towards a college degree program is, for our students, it's really kind of life-changing. And so a lot of our students do aggregate a lot of their prior experience into our degree. And as a working adult, know that you're not alone. So Excelsior student body are working professionals just like you all. We're all over the country. Most of them are working full-time. They're trying to balance work. They're trying to balance life, as some of you are at the library, some of you are at doctor's appointments, but also trying to balance education. So as you can see, with over 172,000 graduates, it really is possible to do it all, right? Like it really is possible to balance all of that. I actually did my MBA at Excelsior College while working full-time. I was traveling 4 days out of the week for like 6 months out of the year. And so I was doing coursework out of hotel rooms, in the airports, just wherever I can be. So it is possible. I don't want you guys to think that something like this is not possible. And so again, our associate degree in nursing program continues to be our largest program, alongside our bachelor's of science in liberal arts, but the ADN still continues to be our largest program. So speaking of accreditation, so there are 2 types of higher education accreditation, including institutional accreditation and then specialized or programmatic accreditation. The institutional accreditation applies to the entire college or the university, and then specialized or programmatic accreditation applies to specific programs or departments or just schools within an institution. So at Excelsior College, as an institution, we are accredited by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. It's an institutional accrediting agency recognized by the U.S. Secretary of Education and the Council for Higher Education Accreditation. The nursing programs have an extra accreditation on top of that, and they are also accredited by the New York State of Regents, and then the bachelor's and master's programs are also accredited by ASIN. The National League for Nursing designated Excelsior School of Nursing a 2016 to 2021 Center of Excellence in Nursing Education. This is something that we are very proud of when it comes to our nursing programs. And so do know that the programs that we have within nursing programs, they are very rigorous. And so for the admissions requirements, stuff that you guys really want to know. So the associate degree in nursing program is designed specifically for the LPNs, the LVNs, its paramedics are also eligible. Certain classifications of active duty military, National Guard, or reserves within specific military occupations that are actually equivalent to the LPN are also eligible for this degree program. So the associate degree in nursing program is designed for individuals with experience in a clinical setting. So the students will have opportunities to expand upon those existing clinical skills and then be able to, show that knowledge throughout the curriculum and demonstrate their clinical competence during the nursing capstone. And so I know one of the questions is going to be, well, what are the clinical experiences? How do you do that within a degree program? And I'll get to that in another slide. But having an LPN and working in the clinical setting is highly important for this degree program. So another requirement would be, you do have to complete the test of essential academic skills. A lot of you are probably familiar with this, the TEAS exam. So you would have achieved the minimum TEAS score, a composite score, so an overall score of 58.7 to be admitted. The TEAS score does, from the report from the ATI, it does need to be completed within 1 year prior to the date of your application. And so we have that as well. So part of the admissions requirement is employment in a setting that requires direct care patients. So what Rachel was talking about earlier, having completed 200 or more hours of employment in this setting within the calendar year. So within the calendar year prior to when it was submitted, so the date that it was submitted. So students must also submit a verification of healthcare experience form. That form can be found on the website. We'll also give this to you guys as well. But then you also must submit a copy of the current healthcare license or certification. It's in order to verify professional status in the appropriate healthcare profession. So the School of Nursing supports our graduates in their preparation for the NCLEX RN by providing a virtual ATI NCLEX review course. So after the successful completion of the CPNE, this is at no cost to our graduates for 12 weeks. So we do, helping you prepare while you're in degree program, but once you complete and getting ready to take that NCLEX RN, we do provide an additional support for that. Rachel also alluded to this as well. So in a number of states, Excelsior School of Nursing graduates the School of Nursing graduates are licensed by examination without additional requirements or stipulations. However, there are differences in the statutes and regulations for RN education and licensure among different jurisdictions. So in some states, Excelsior's associate degree in nursing graduates must meet additional requirements or stipulations in order to become eligible for the RN licensure. And that will vary from state to state. Again, we'll give you the link to that. So if you reside in a state with additional licensure requirements, you'll be asked, once you're admitted into the program, you'll have to complete a pre-admission form. So basically this form just says that you acknowledge that you understand that there are additional requirements in order for you to become an RN, either in the state that you currently reside in or whatever state you plan on applying for that RN licensure. So we are currently accepting applications into the ADN program. A lot of you I see on here are from the states that we are accepting students from. So that is Connecticut, Florida, Indiana, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Missouri, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And we have verified with each of these named states, their state boards, Board of Nursing, that graduates of Excelsior's ADM program will be able to apply for licensure in these states. Should you be on this call and happen to not be part of one of these states, feel free to reach out to us. We'll take a look at that too. So the degree program. So the associate degree in nursing program, they're both 66 credits. They're a competency-based programs that are delivered in the 8 to 15-week format. So as Rachel was saying earlier about we are an open enrollment institution. So really you could apply anytime throughout the year. So if you missed the January deadline, there's still a March term coming up. You miss a March, there's still a May term coming up. So it's really on an ongoing basis. So that gives you enough time to really apply for that next term. And so there are synchronous lab experiences that are built into the courses. And along with 2 courses, there is an in-person clinical experience component built into that course. So you'll see the ones that has like the 4 credits, the nursing 250, and then the capstone nursing 290. That does have that in-person clinical experience. Along with that, it's a weekend-long clinical, and so it's not the entire course, but it is a weekend within that course. So the program, again, about the flexibility piece of this, the program does allow for transfer of the general education component. So excluding the InfoLit and the Cornerstone course, all of the other courses you see listed under the general education component can be transferred in from other institutions. Now, there is a time limitation on transfer for the microbiology and the A&P course. They do have to be taken within the 5 years of the time you apply. But other than that, you can transfer in, if you took sociology 10 years ago, you took a written English 10 years ago, you can still transfer a lot of those courses in. This program itself does have to be completed within 6 years. So from the time you start, you do have 6 years to complete the program. The ADM program itself is, specifically designed with individuals with experience in the clinical settings in mind, so like the LPNs. So make this program itself for the IntelyPros, for the LPNs, it makes you guys a really perfect candidate, especially when you're working full time. You need a really flexible degree program. It was really designed with professionals like you all in mind. And so in addition to all the gen eds, should you hold additional credentials, you have other nursing license or certifications. I'm not going to go through this all, so we can give you time to ask some questions, but we'll also send this out to you. Should you hold any one of these, you can transfer credit in for these licensure as well. Again, we really put an emphasis on, education that you guys have had prior to us. And so being able to transfer a lot of that in does save a lot of time and money as well. So speaking of money, so the part of the partnership discount, our standard discount tends to be 20% off tuition, and then there are some discounts on the fees as well. There's a deferred tuition option for that. So a lot of this is for the employees and the spouse and domestic partners for that. But as Rachel said, we do have a better discount for the LPNs looking to do the ADM program. And so instead of the $410 per credit hour tuition rate, it's actually $336 per credit hour. And so when you take into account transfer credits coming in, should you have all of those transfer credits, you may only have like 39 credits left to take. And then 39 credits, at a $336 tuition price, it's very reasonable. And then the student and technology fee it would be $48 per credit hour as well. What I would encourage, and I highly, highly encourage this, is to complete the free FAFSA application. You never know what money is out there, what grants are out there, what scholarships are out there, especially if you're in New York State. There's that New York State TAP money that's out there. And so it's free to apply. It does not hurt to just apply and see what money is out there to help cover the cost of your degree program. And so that is the end of the presentation. Again, I want to thank you all so much, not for just, for joining, but for everything that you do every day for us, for the public. I share in Rachel's sentiments that I also thank you guys for everything that you do. And questions?
Awesome. So we have a couple of questions, Kylie. Maybe you can help us. Tanya Wagner, I see your question and I'm going to get back to you individually. Okay. So I just wanted, there's a couple of questions about how long the program is. And I think I remembered it's about 2 years, but I didn't want to I want to make sure I get that right.
Yep. So the program that we have mapped out with IntelyCare, we're looking at an 18-month program. The program itself in general, we tell students about 2 years, but that all depends on how many credits you're transferring in, how many credits are you doing at a time. Now, if you're doing one course at a time, I mean, it's really going to take you a long time. But if you're doing, 2 courses here and there, it really will expedite your time to completion. Keep in mind, there are 6 start terms within the year. And so being able to do even one at a time, 6 courses knocked out, that's 18 credits towards the 66 or even the 39 if you have transfer credits. So it really just depends. But on average, we do say 2 years. For the IntelyPros, if they're transferring in all of their gen eds, we're hoping to expedite that to 18 months.
Awesome. It sounds like there's some questions about March is the first deadline, the first cohort that our IntelyPros could theoretically attend. Okay, so
yes. Yeah, because the one just started January 10th. And so the next one will start in March. And we do encourage for the March term that students apply 2 weeks before that deadline. That is so that you can, get the application in and then get all of your transcripts in should you have any transfer credits, being able to apply for FAFSA, a lot of those things take time. And so instead of, rushing and stressing and all of that, give yourself some time to really plan that out. So I always encourage 2 weeks before that term, but I know life happens. There are always something that comes up. And so I encourage it, but, do know that the next start term is in like early March.
So they were like every 3 months, right?
Every other month, basically.
Every other month. Okay, every other month.
So 8 weeks is like every other month. So yeah, okay. So you can take up to we call them trimesters. So if you want to think about it in a traditional format, fall would be like that August through December. And then, spring is at January through May. And then summer terms are together. But if you're doing a 15-week course, that's traditionally how we require it. But there's 6 terms in a year. So every other month we're rolling in courses. You can take 2 at a time if you want to. So like in that 8-week format, you want to take 2 and then take another 2. That's 12 credits within 1 trimester, and that's basically full-time status. So
yeah, so that's great. So it sounds like we have some, so if we didn't get to your question right now, we have a transcript of all of them, and we have a frequently asked questions document that we're going to send out to you with links and contact information for the Excelsior admissions folks to answer some of these questions. So if you don't live in one of the current 18 states, sort of how do we go about, moving us along? Just one last quick question that I think would be helpful for us to just sort of talk about real quick, that I see sort of a trend in the questions around how do clinicals work, and can we test out of any courses?
So you can test out of the gen eds. So that is a fantastic question. Not sure if any of you knew us from like way back when, which is like 5 years ago, but we used to be, when we say competency-based program, all the gen eds were accredited by exam. So before we started moving into those gen eds as 8-week courses, they were all UExcel exams. And so you could test out of the gen eds. You still currently could test out, that's still an option, but because we wanted the program to be financial aid eligible, we had to make them online courses. That was a high need for a lot of our nurses, but that's still an option if you wanted to test out, say, sociology is your thing and you're like, no, don't want to sit through an 8-week course, the sociology course is still available. It's accredited by exam. You can also take it at another institution. There's plenty of places where you can take these courses for a very low fee and then transfer that into us too. So there are many options for that. But yes, you can certainly test out of those. Oh, and then the clinicals piece, sorry. The Nursing 250 has a clinical, in-person clinical aspect to it, and then the capstone course has a clinical aspect to that. So in those 2 courses, there is a theory piece, a lab piece, and a clinical piece. So what happens in that clinical piece is you'll sign up to go to one of our hospital affiliates. You would register, sign up, and then it would be a weekend long clinical. I think I'll have more information on this, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 12-hour shifts where you'll work with one of the nurses there, and then you'll go through the clinical experiences with them. So that's how the clinical pieces work within the 2 courses, but I'll lay it out a little bit more cleanly than what I just described in an email.
Awesome. I see a couple of you with some questions. If you put them in the chat and we didn't answer them, we'll get that FAQ document out to you and answer your questions. And we'll give some follow-up email places that you can go to. Certainly check out the website at Excelsior, and we thank you so much for your time. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and end our webinar for now. But thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited. And we will send you shortly. Keep a look on your email inbox for lots of information, the follow-up, the how do I apply, how do I get to admissions, where do I send my transcripts, all of those things are coming within the next day or so to you. So hang in, okay? Thank you so much, everyone.
I was going to say, my information will be on there too. So I know sometimes you don't want to reach anybody. So you feel free, you can always reach out to me. I'll direct you in the right direction. So thank you all so much.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.